Alright, so human trafficking is really not cool. It's when another person is taken against their will. There are 3 different types of human trafficking, what mostly there's different things are classified as. You have children, which is anyone under 18 that is involved in commercial sex. There's adults, which are over 18 and over, and they're involved in commercial sex through force, fraud, or coercion. And then you have the children and adults that are forced into labor or services through, again, force, fraud, or coercion. Which, it's really not cool, because why would you want to do something you don't want to do? You know? So, it's estimated that there is about 20.9 million victims of human trafficking all over the world today. About 5.5 million of them are children, which that is 5.5 million people under the age of 18 that are forced into this human trafficking. And out of this 20.9 million victims, 55% of them are the women and children, which women and children, they tend to be more vulnerable and they can't defend themselves as easily as men can, most of the time at least. Human trafficking is a $150 billion industry worldwide. Like, that's a lot of money that comes from using other people at your will. And you have to be able to not to really have it doesn't bother them. They just do it for the money, which isn't really cool. Now, the victims, they're lured into human trafficking most of the time by job stability, by like saying, hey, you don't make enough money over there, come over here and we'll give you this awesome job for this awesome amount of money. And a lot of the time they're like, that sounds like a great deal, but in reality they're getting screwed over. And then stability, like, if the place is where they're coming from is like, there's a lot of bad people going on, there's wars, there's violence, it's not a good place to live, you're scared for your life. People be like, hey, come over here, it's safe. Just kidding, you're being human trafficked. And then for education, like, they're not getting enough education in their home country, so they're gonna go move somewhere else to get more education. Sometimes it's actual education, but sometimes you're just getting human trafficking. And a loving relationship, because everyone wants love, whether they'll admit it or not. It's what everyone desires. And with that false promise of love, people tend to do crazy things. And some people get thrown into human trafficking. Now, everyone can be a victim. There is no one person that's targeted. It's anyone can be sold into human trafficking. A lot of the times, they'll take a foreigner that doesn't speak the language of the country they're in and put them into human trafficking, because they can't speak to anybody to tell them what's going on and get out of there. They can't communicate with the language of where they are at. And the victims will tend to have trust issues, which, makes sense after someone gives you this false promise and then they're like, oh, just kidding. So people wouldn't want to trust people after that, because they don't know if they're going to go into a worse deal or not. Now, what can you do to stop human trafficking? You can know the signs. The signs of human trafficking are that the victim, they're not free. They can't go and come as they please. They're just stuck. If they're under 18, commercial sex is a really big indicator. And commercial sex is just like prostitution or anything kind of like that. Like, they're selling sexual parts or instances of their body for profit, and the profit doesn't even really go to them. They're in this big debt. Like, they're trying to they don't have money. They're trying to pay back someone to get out of this debt. And, yeah. That they are under high security. The victim will be under high security because the human trafficker doesn't want them to get away, doesn't want them to tell anybody, so they're going to be watched over all the time. And just kind of watch how they act. Like, as I said earlier, they're going to have trust issues, and they're not going to make eye contact either. Because, I mean, you don't trust anybody, you don't want to make eye contact, you don't want them to really know what's going on. The victim doesn't want anyone to know what's going on sometimes, because that could be worse for them. Human traffickers can be holding their family hostage. You don't know. Sometimes the victims will be abused because maybe if they didn't bring enough money back or something like that. They will have little or no possessions because they're constantly being moved around. They don't have anything to their name because their trafficker won't let them have anything. They don't have control of their own ID, or passports, or citizenship, anything like that, and they don't have it. Because if they have it, they don't need to be stuck to the human trafficker. They can go run away easier. And victims tend not to know their whereabouts, whether it's they were just taken there and they have no clue where they are, or they're constantly being moved around so no one knows what's going on. And if someone starts catching wind, they move so they can't be found out. And they'll have inconsistent stories. Like, they'll make up one story and then they'll make up something different because they don't want anyone to really know what's going on. Because, like I said earlier, it can be worse for them if they're found out what's going on. After you find the signs, what do you do next? You report it. You can go to National Human Trafficking Resource Center, which is a really cool place where you can just report what's going on. Saying, like, this is what I saw, this is where and everything, and they'll look into it. And same with the Polaris Project. Those are two cool places to report what's going on if you find out someone's being trafficked. And then there's this place called Destiny House, which these really cool people created a couple years ago to help out victims of human trafficking. They have this program they call the HEARTS program, which is healing, education, and restoration treatment for survivors, which entails that they have counseling, group therapy, they have GED education with the goal of getting the survivors a job at places, or getting them education and everything. They help them develop basic healthy life skills. Like, they've been in this abused place for so long, they might not know how to fully function in society again and what's safe and everything, and these people help them with that. And they get connections with professional resources for, like, drug addictions, detox, and medical attention for anything they need. Like, they could have been abused, they could have been drugged for a while to help them be sedated so people can move around, or anything like that. They have creative therapies for them to use, such as, like, art, jewelry making, music, gardening, cooking, and other life skills that could help them function in society, live on their own, make them feel better about what happened to them. Because after you're in that situation, you're going to have a lot of mental scars inside of your body. Like, not necessarily all physical ones people can see, but, you know, like, you're not going to be able to trust people and all this stuff. And what these people are trying to do at Destiny House is help them cope with these problems. And like I said earlier, they try to get them jobs. They connect with corporations who would work with these people to hire them, so they can have jobs, they can live on their own, they can be a normal human being and be successful at what they do again. Because they've lived for who knows how long in these terrible situations where they're being manipulated and controlled. And these people try to get them back to their normal lives, and so that they can have this normalcy about them again, so that they don't have to continue living their lives in this fear and not knowing if they're safe or not.